love so much. And I'm thinking, how can this be? And yet he's telling me he's going to overdose and kill himself.
I went to my first party and I had a bottle of Bacardi sour apple or something in my hand, and I walked into this party like I was holding the Heisman Trophy. I felt like I had arrived, and that was the moment where I was kind of like, this is it, like I'm the party girl.
And I found him in the back of a park, just slumped over with the needle in him. He was so out of it. I thought he was dead actually, but he had a pulse.
And being around people that were partying, that were my age, and I really just thought that, I was doing what kids my age were supposed to be doing. But the difference was that I was doing it every night, and I was a blackout drinker.
I woke up immediately thinking about drugs, right? I had injured my neck, and doctors started prescribing me a bunch of medications. Sooner or later, that medication ran out. And it ran out faster than it should have, because as it says on that little bottle, it says every 4 hours or as needed for pain. Well, I was always in pain, so I just kept taking it.
I was completely lost. I'd lived a life, kind of living a double life, trying to hide the drug and alcohol use from my friends, family, wife.
I wanted so badly to change what was happening up here. I didn't want to keep chasing it, but instead I was robbing, I was lying, and I was cheating people in order to get what I wanted, because in my brain I had no idea how to do anything else.
And as my career advanced, so did my drinking and drugging. And at one point, I honestly thought that I was the king of the world. And I think what caused me to deny it was the fact that I had tried to quit and I failed. And I tried again and I failed, and again and again and again.
I have a son who Eagle Scout engineer, made it through college by the grace of God, who got addicted to heroin. What's really sad is, as a nurse of 34 years, I knew nothing about addiction as a disease.
And the one thing that changed it all for me was advocating for recovery, helping fight that stigma that we often see or hear about what a person who is an addict looks like, right? Because in all reality, it looks like all of us. It doesn't have a face, it doesn't have a name, it doesn't have a profession. Addiction or substance use disorder will take anybody at any time.
My daughter, Kimmie, she had an addiction problem that lasted about 20 years. But the beginning of it was when she was around 9 years old, and she had a bad experience in our neighborhood. And we did not know about that until she was 15. And by that time, she already was into drugs, started around 13 years old.
She was my right-hand man. She led me through school, she looked after me, she was almost a big brother. Instead of saying big sister, she was my best friend. By the time I was 24, I found out she was doing heroin. And that's when I said to her, I said, Kim, I've been with you my whole life. You don't do this. Until one day, I walked into her room and she was blue. And her boyfriend was sitting next to her, allowing her to lay there basically dead. And so I walked in the room and I said, what's wrong with Kim? And that's when I looked at her lips and they were blue. And I looked at her boyfriend and I said, what's going on? He said, oh, she's just taking a nap. She just passed out. And so I picked her up and I threw her in my car and I drove over to Health Park Hospital. And they said if you waited any longer, she wouldn't be here anymore. And they were able to revive her. That happened 3 times with me.
I talked to her the night before I was to pick her up, and I talked to her at 1:30 in the morning. I said, Kimmie, are you okay? She said, yeah, Dad, I'm fine. And I said, well, I can't pick you up tomorrow, I'll pick you up Saturday. I have a Christmas party for kids with cancer at the hospital. And I got a call 9 o'clock in the morning that she had overdosed. By then, they had brought her to the hospital. She was on life support for 6 days, and that was in December. And December 16th, after 6 days on life support, she passed on.
That tragedy has driven us to be more laser focused, to work as a team together, and it has really given us a tremendous boost of energy to make certain that we change lives and prevent that from happening again. So I implemented a program again. There's a lot of different initiatives that I have as the sheriff, and it's going to touch on 2 different parts. First, unfortunately, Florida ranked, I think, number 49 out of 50 for mental health and how we help the people with mental illness. We all know that most times jail is not the right place for someone that's mentally ill. And we have to do better, not only in this county, but in the state and in the country. There are veterans with PTSD that are mentally ill. There are some amazing people out there that have serious problems with mental illness and they're not being helped.
Prior to me getting into recovery, I had no clue on where to go or what to do. So yeah, these folks that are looking for treatment, that are suffering from mental health and substance abuse, there's no real direction. I ended up in a church talking to a pastor because I didn't know where to go.
At her funeral, I made a commitment and a promise that I would do everything to help other families so that they wouldn't feel the pain and suffering that our family felt. And I was looking for a place for Kimmie. There was no one place to go to find any information. You were told to go here, go over there, go there. I was all over. I was in Miami, I was in California, I was in Palm Beach. So you want to, the zone I think will have an offering of one place where you can go and find multiple pathways to recovery and support.
Kimmie's Recovery Zone, the vision is to bring all of those resources together into one place and be able to make connections for people. And I really think that's the most important piece to recovery, is helping people make connections so that they have the resilience and the strength to stay sober.
Kimmie's Recovery Zone is a wonderful resource that I'm able to use. One of the main problems that we have in courts where we deal with people with mental health and substance abuse issues is finding things for them to do. And Kimmie's Recovery Zone enables us to send them someplace where it's a safe place for them to be. They have the resources they need to deal with the problems. They have recovery classes that they can meet people who have the same issues they have, who are doing well. But it's also a place that can help coordinate the services they need to get the treatment they need.
And anything that Al can do as far as families, individuals, where to go, how to get the help they need. I mean, if I would have known Kimmie's Recovery Zone existed, and I could have called them the day I suspected something was wrong with my son, and to have someone sit down with me, hear my story, and tell me, you're not crazy. Let's dig deeper. Let's find out what's going on with your son, and let's help you. And that's the first step for any parent, is take care of yourself first.
Being a mother of an addict, I had to get my own help in Codependence Anonymous, and I had to learn to do the tough love thing with her.
So I met Al and we just started talking about it. And once that happens to you, your own family, it's something you never forget. I'll never ever forget seeing my nephew just crunched over in like a ball with a needle sticking out. I'll never forget that. So it's something Al and I bonded on. We have to do something. We have to get awareness out so that people don't blame themselves for not seeing what happened.
Not to mention the stigma associated with drugs and alcohol. People with drugs and alcohol, they're not bad people trying to get better. They're sick people trying to get well. And that's the difference. They're not bad people. We're good people, but we have a disease. And it's a disease of our mind, of our brain.
But I would say to the nurses, these people need help too. Why are you so angry with them? And some of the nurses said, look, I live with a husband like this. I have to come to work and deal with it now. So they were a little bit too close to home sometimes, and it was affecting them in the way they were dealing with these people. They were giving them an attitude.
What Al is doing in this community is clearly complementary to what's going on throughout the healthcare community, because what they're providing is a place for folks to be in recovery, which is such a critical part. Knowing what the relapse rate is for opioid addiction and for any addiction actually, it provides that place of stability where they can maintain their recovery status, their sober status, and actually get better and beat this.
For me, my life is now built on passion, drive, and helping others. And when you put that trifecta together, I get goosebumps. You can't see them right now, but that's what drives change, right? Like, that's what makes people want to make change, is passion, is driving something bigger than yourself to make a greater impact than we could ever imagine, right? We're not talking about just like creating a charity and gathering donations. We're talking about leaving a legacy, right? For other people, other organizations to be a part of, all inclusive, just one. And so as I sat down in front of him and these are the details he's giving me, yeah, it's hard not to get worked up about what, Al Kinkle's vision is with Kimmie's Recovery Zone. Definitely. So when you talk about the way God speaks to me, he put me down in front of a chair and made me listen. And I opened my ears and said, thank God.
Definitely support Kimmie's Recovery Zone. Addiction is real. It can happen to anyone at any time. Get the blinders off. Don't sit there and say, oh no, not my child or not my significant other, because any day it could be you.
With Kimmie's Recovery Zone, it gives us that continuum of care that we desperately need. We don't recover in 30 days. We recover over a lifetime. We don't recover in a treatment facility. We don't recover in jail. We recover in our community. We recover in our churches. We recover where we work. And Kimmie's Recovery Zone is a program that will help people in recovery, run by people in recovery.
Inside, I'm crying. I'm in tears because I've lost my sister. But the real feeling I get from this is joy. I get joy out of knowing that my sister's name is going to save other people's lives.
So having a place like Kimmie's Recovery Zone, I think, is so important. It's so important for people to not only come to a place where there's multiple pathways of recovery under one roof, but a place where you could literally walk through the doors and say, I need help, and you can get it.